In 1338, an English army marched up to the gates of Dunbar Castle ready to conquer. They had soldiers, siege weapons, and a whole lot of confidence. But what they didn't know was that inside those stone walls was a woman who would make them the laughingstock of history. Her name was Agnes Randolph, better known as Black Agnes, and she wasn't about to roll over for anyone. This is the story of how one woman turned a war into her own personal comedy show. Dunbar Castle was no ordinary fortress. Sitting high on rocky cliffs with the cold North Sea at its back, it was nearly impossible to attack from the water. And on land, its walls were thick enough to withstand the most brutal assaults. If you wanted control over Scotland's eastern coast, Dunbar was the key. At the time, Scotland was locked in a war with England again. King Edward III of England wanted to take Scotland piece by piece, and Dunbar was on his hit list. But here's the twist. The Earl of Dunbar, the man who owned the castle, wasn't even there. He was off fighting somewhere else. So when the English army, led by the Earl of Salisbury, arrived with their shiny siege weapons, the castle was under the command of Agnes Randolph. She wasn't a warrior. She wasn't a knight. But she was about to give them a fight they'd never forget. When Salisbury demanded she surrender, she didn't send back a scared letter begging for mercy. Instead, she doubled down, laughed in his face. Figuratively, of course. And prepared to defend her home. The English set up their siege engines and started launching giant stones at the castle walls, hoping to break them down. You know what Agnes did? She had one of her ladies-in-waiting grab a kerchief and dust off the castle walls. Imagine the scene. The English soldiers are sweating, hauling massive stones and firing them with all their might. And up on the walls, Agnes's lady-in-waiting is just cleaning. Cool as can be. It was like she was saying, "Is that all you've got?" Salisbury wasn't just embarrassed, he was furious. He ramped things up and sent his soldiers charging at the gates with a massive battering ram. They thought they'd break through in no time. But Agnes had other plans. Just as the ram reached the gates, she ordered her defenders to roll a massive boulder off the walls. It crashed down and smashed the battering ram into pieces. Salisbury's men? They scattered like scared sheep. Everyone in the castle was enjoying this free comedy show. In fact, when a Scottish archer's arrow struck an English soldier standing right next to Salisbury, the Earl shouted to him, "There comes one of my lady's tire pins." Agnes's love shafts go straight to the heart. And that's not all. Agnes wasn't just about defense. She was a master of psychological warfare. Whenever Salisbury's men tried to climb the walls, she'd taunt them from above and throw down anything she could get her hands on. Rocks, boiling water, even insults. She was relentless. After weeks of failure, Salisbury decided to play dirty. He figured if he couldn't break the walls, he'd starve the defenders out. He cut off their supplies, expecting them to surrender. But Agnes just held her ground. And the soldiers? They weren't doing so well. They were cold, hungry, and miserable. Salisbury was desperate. As a last resort, he captured Agnes's brother and threatened to kill him if she didn't surrender. It was a cruel move, but Agnes wasn't about to be intimidated. She simply informed him that his death would benefit her. Almost like saying, "Go ahead. At least I'm heir to his lands." The audacity. Salisbury couldn't believe it. He was being outplayed, outsmarted, and outlasted by a woman who refused to back down. Eventually, the English army had no choice but to pack up and leave. Months of effort, resources, and pride. All wasted because of one fearless woman. Well, that just goes to show that wit, grit, and a little bit of mockery can actually win a battle. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more stories of history's greatest legends.